Hey guys, Sam here, and yep, we are in October, which means it's the month of Halloween, and this is also the month of Halloween themed reviews. So, what am I going to look at today? Well, I am going to be taking a look at the first ever installment of Terror Tales of the Park, made by the one and only regular show. Now, I know that some people talk about their other favorites, like, oh, I think the third one was the best, or the sequel, like the first sequel was the best, and they always compare them. But for me personally, I always go back to the one that started it all, the very first one. To me, this has always been the best one. So, why do I say that? Well, let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you are new to the channel, basically I'll just give you a quick summary, and then give you my final thoughts afterwards. But this time it's going to be a little bit different, since there are not one, not two, but three different stories in this one half-hour special. I'll just go over each and every single story, just give you the summary real fast, and then after I've taken a look at all of them, I'll give you my final thoughts at the very end. And I'll even tell you which one's my favorite and which one's my least favorite. We ready? Okay, let's begin. Now, these are individual stories that are told by some of the main characters. The first one is told by Pops, and it is called Creepy Doll. It starts with Mordecai Rigby helping Pops clean up his room, but then they discover an old doll that Pops used to play with in his childhood named Percy. While this rekindles some joy for Pops, Mordecai and Rigby just find the doll disturbing. So they tell Pops to get rid of it, saying that dolls aren't cool. Pops agrees, but later we find out Pops had a certain play date with this thing. Mordecai and Rigby tell him again to get rid of it, but Pops says he tried to but failed. So Mordecai and Rigby seemingly take care of it themselves. But eventually they find out that this doll is alive and has a creepy need to draw on people's faces. So Mordecai and Rigby save Pops from him, but the doll runs away to the basement. So our heroes go down there to find it, but the doll gets the drop on Mordecai and Rigby by knocking them out cold with a shovel. So it's up to Pops to stop this doll, and he does so by running at it in slow motion and kicking it into the furnace. Luckily, Mordecai and Rigby wake up and are alright, but the doll looks to be still alive. But thankfully, he succumbs to his injuries and dies. So some of the cast find the first story to be a little scary, while the others, like Muscle Man and High Five Ghost, think it's lame. And this is when we get the second story, Muscle Man and High Five Ghost story, Death Metal Crash Pit. On one foggy night, Muscle Man and High Five Ghost discover an RV that looks old and run down, so they figure there's only one thing to do with this thing: send it into the crash pit. What's that? Well, it's kind of like a bottomless pit that people put all sorts of crap down, like cars and so on, and Muscle Man and High Five Ghost have done it before. So they call up their buddies, telling them to get to the crash pit. They begin to drive there, but soon discover that this RV is haunted by a dead heavy metal band named Skull Punch, and they are furious at Muscle Man for trying to destroy their resting place, especially when he tells them that he just wanted to send it into the crash pit. That's like telling an angry crowd who hate puppy killers that, oh, no, I wasn't gonna shoot this puppy in the head, no, I was just gonna stab it in the gut. It will not help you. And yes, do not kill puppies, okay? I don't really think I need to tell you guys that. Anyway, Muscle Man tries to get out of it by fighting back, but it's no good. He tries to apologize, but the band doesn't forgive him, already deciding that they're gonna send him and High Five Ghost into the crash pit. So Muscle Man, thinking fast, comes up with an idea. He tells the band that they should perform in front of the crowd before crashing the RV. The band agree and put on a,
Have you ever seen a cat walking down the street and you should mate? Yes, a cat, not a rat, or a bat, or a hat, or a pat, or a bat, or a mat. Have you ever seen a gun?
better than average show. Oh, who am I kidding? Talent show bands are better than these clowns. So Muscle Man tries to escape their terrible music, but he can't get out. So he says, screw it, and forces the RV down the crash pit, which creates a big explosion, killing everyone, including Muscle Man himself. But he's gladder that he stopped the music and claims that this was the best crash pit ever. So that's Muscle Man's story, which Rigby claims was none better than the doll one. So Muscle Man challenges him to come up with something better. And he does by telling his story in the house. On Halloween night, Mordecai and Rigby are trick-or-treating. At one point, Rigby goes up to one creepy house and knocks on it, but the owner doesn't answer. Feeling pissed off, Rigby decides that he's gonna egg the house, which he does. But this does not sit well with the owner at all. Turns out it's a wizard, and he tells Rigby that he's going to pay for that. The next day, a scared Rigby tries to tell Skips and Benson about it, but they don't really care. But Rigby feels like the wizard is trying to get him. He even starts imagining him being there. Mordecai tries to calm him down and says that he won't. But he's wrong. Rigby starts to grow a house number and a doorknob, which proves that the wizard put a curse on him. Mordecai and Rigby try to get to the wizard to apologize, but Rigby can't move. So Mordecai tries on his own, but the owner doesn't come out. So he heads back to the park and finds Rigby has turned into a literal house. That's when the wizard calls and tells him that this is only the beginning. But when Benson tries to interrupt him, the wizard tries to kill him. The others stop him, but now the wizard vows to make them all pay. So the day bleeds into night. Everyone is now waiting for the wizard, and they all have their own weapons. Skips has a crossbow, Benson has nunchucks, Pops has a slingshot, High Five Ghost has a machete, Mordecai has a bat, and Muscle Man has a shotgun. Then a black car rolls up. The door opens, but no one comes out. Muscle Man tells the wizard to change Rigby back, but the wizard taunts him instead. And it works. Muscle Man is spooked, which makes it easy for the wizard to drag him away, and then skin him alive. And then the wizard just goes on a big-time killing spree. He sucks High Five Ghost into the phone and liquefies him, knocks out Mordecai, kills Skips by incinerating him in the fireplace, kills Benson by drowning him in a toilet, kills Pops by making him disappear, and then kills a conscious Mordecai by beheading him. Once they're all gone, Rigby breaks down, apologizes, and tells the wizard to get his revenge over with. And he does, by egging Rigby. Yep, that's all he wanted to do, turn him into a house, kill his friends, and egg him. But not just egg him, but drown him in it. And that's Rigby's story, which seems to get everyone's eyebrows raised. Muscle Man tries to brush it off by calling it weak, but...
Oh, that's not it. Happy Halloween!
So that's the special. What are my thoughts? Well, let me just go over my thoughts on each individual story. I'll start with the doll story first. This one was decent. It may have obvious Child's Play references, but it still stood out. Percy is a pretty creepy doll and has a really creepy voice.
Have some tea. Have some tea? What's wrong with you? I don't want your tea. I want to draw on your face. Get off them! You're all gonna get drawn on.
The design, the way it moves, and its voice are just unsettling. And speaking of Percy's voice, did you know that the same voice actor for Rigby also did the voice of the doll? Yeah, I'm not kidding. Seriously, try to tell them apart. It's actually pretty impressive. It's also cool to see Pop stand up for himself. Of course, some of us know what happens to him at the end of the show, but it's nice to see him being a badass here. And the kick in slow motion was cool too. So, it's an entertaining story with a pretty decent creep factor. Final score, 7 out of 10. Next, there's Death Metal Crash Pit. This is my least favorite story. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. There are a few funny moments, and I liked how this short did poke fun at heavy metal bands. Now, I don't mean the good ones like Iron Maiden. I mean the bad ones. You know, the ones that really try to force it down your throat that they're dark and disturbing and try to deepen their voice by shaking like this. Like, you know, that kind of sucky shit. But the idea of a haunted RV isn't too original, and honestly, you could put anything else in there other than Skull Punch, and it would have the same effect. Bottom line, it's just not too memorable. It may have a couple of good moments here and there, but it's just average, at least to me. Final score, 5 out of 10. But now let's get to the one that I really want to discuss with you. My absolute favorite story, Rigby's in the House. This is a classic Halloween story. It's original, disturbing, and graphic, but also funny as hell.
Ugh! Unbelievable! Ah! Give me candy, lady! Ah! Oh, man!
The idea of being turned into a house is both silly and goofy, but also kind of terrifying. It's like with the movie Tusk when the guy was turned into a walrus. It's silly beyond belief, but it's also disturbing as fuck. On top of that, it's suspenseful, the kills are creative, and it also does a good job at referencing its inspiration, Evil Dead, but it never becomes too obvious. It's just a good story. But the absolute best part about it is the wizard. And remember when I told you that Rigby's voice actor did the doll? Well, I think you can figure out who did the voice of the wizard here. Yep, that's right, Mark Hamill himself, the same guy who also did the voice of that creepy British taxi in Hello Governor. But if you thought that car was terrifying, get a load of this.
You're going to pay for that.
Yeah, from the first time we see him, we already know that this is a guy you do not want to mess with. And if you do cross him, he will make sure that you will pay. But with that said, he can be a little childish. He tries to choke Benson for interrupting his call, makes puns, and his ultimate revenge is just egging Rigby and saying, "How do you like it?" I mean, Percy may be creepy, but this guy is downright terrifying. So yeah, along with everything else, In the House is definitely the best story in the Terror Tales of the Park special. Final score for this one, 9 out of 10. So, let's go ahead and add up the scores. The first one was a 7, the second one was 5, and the last one was a 9. So 7 plus 5 plus 9 equals 21. So, I did them all, 1 to 10. So, 21 divided by 30 would make it 7. So yeah, the entire special as a whole is a 7 out of 10. So yeah, it's not a mind-blowing special, it's not the greatest Halloween special ever, but it is certainly entertaining. I highly recommend it, and especially because of the last story. Seriously, check it out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, give it a like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And also, my Twitter username is down there in the description as well. And... I shouldn't tell you. Okay, maybe I'll just give you a little bit of a detail. The next review for this month, I won't give away exactly what I'm going to do, but I will give you a couple of hints. 1, it's a re-review on an episode that I've covered before, and 2, the reason why I'm doing it is because it's absolutely perfect for this month. So, thank you guys for watching. My name is Sam. Mwah. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.